Hey, what's poppin'? And we're back with that sit down talks. Sit down lecture. I don't know. Something like that. Anyways, I think where we left off last was like about discipline. I was going to go in deeper about what I think having good disciplines are. And I actually went ahead and looked it up because like I was thinking that there are two or definitely two, but maybe multiple variations of the word discipline. And actually, that actually is. The first off is the practice of training people to obey rules or code of behavior using punishment to correct disobedience. That sounds like it's pretty shitty, honestly. And the second, though, for nouns, are a branch of knowledge typically one studied in higher education. Um, and this is kind of where I wanted to touch bases on in what I believe having good disciplines or learning disciplines. And like in my belief is that when you do different things, especially when you do difficult things or you push yourself past what you would believe or expect your normal capabilities to be, you're thus training a discipline. So, to put it really simply, if you were to jump every day, for an entire year. That's a really long time, right? That doesn't sound so simple, but the act of jumping itself is pretty simple. So you were to jump every day for a year. You would teach yourself different disciplines, and then you would be learning, and part of learning those disciplines would be like you'd be learning like different ways to activate different parts of your muscles in your legs, possibly in your glutes, your back, that would help you to uh, jump higher and better. Because how can you possibly jump every day for a year and not learn something from it? It's like if you weren't learning something from it, it's like, what are you doing? Basically, what I'm saying is, what the hell are you doing jumping every day? So basically, what that leads us to believe is that pretty much everything you do in life and everything you do every day is creating disciplines. It's teaching you, you know, more about your path and what you need to have, I guess you could say, to like achieve, so to speak, right? And it's kind of crazy that it's like life is almost laid out that way that everything you do is literally teaching you something. It's just whether or not you're paying attention or paying attention to the right things. Now, personally, for me, when I like to practice or train, I guess different disciplines is because like I said just a minute ago is I try to focus first on everything I'm doing. Everything I do, I try to take something from it, whether it's sweeping, whether it's um, moving something, whether it's hanging out with my daughter, is whatever. And it's funny enough that for me, what I've learned, the biggest thing that I've learned from all of the things that I do and I try to learn from, and which helps me out the most, in my opinion, right? The thing that I think helps me out, and especially in terms of discipline, is when I'm trying to train a discipline, let's say, is taking a breath, right? Whatever I'm doing, whenever I'm feeling impatient, is just stop and take a breath. And don't get me wrong, right? I realize that this might not apply to other types of disciplines. There's a lot of disciplines out there that maybe require a lot of focus. But I also think that in the root of all disciplines, you'll find another discipline within it. So I picked patience on this first adventure for discipline because it applies most to me, I feel. And life is always throwing this at me, right? In my way, at me, whatever. It's always putting it there, like no matter what. Like I might be in traffic and I'm getting irritated, getting impatient because I want to get home, whatever. But that's not what it's about. It's about paying attention to what's going on around you. That's what the life that you could say is trying to tell me. You know, life is trying to tell me to pay attention to my surroundings. Like look at what's going on. You never know what you might see. You never know how you could help. And it sounds super, super, super duper cliche. I know that, but it's like you find fulfillment and reward when you help others. So it's like, why not take the time, right? And maybe you were supposed to help that person, or maybe you were supposed to see whatever you're supposed to see, because maybe the line of thought that might come after what you saw is something rewarding. And I mean, I'm pretty positive that you're going to get rewarded no matter what anytime you train a discipline. It's crazy to think too, because when you train disciplines, it teaches you how to um, learn whatever or do whatever you're doing better. Like like I was saying, if you were to be jumping all the time and you didn't pay attention to what you were doing, then how could you possibly, like, what are you doing? Like anytime you do something multiple times to the point where you're getting as good as you can be at it, or good as what you would expect to be, like, you're going to get it done quicker, you're going to get it done more efficiently, and you're going to know how to do it the best way possible. And it's crazy to do to think, because I hate almost saying that, like, what you believe the expectations of whatever it is you're doing could be. However, like, I don't really necessarily know if I believe that. This is also another cliche thing to say, but I don't really know if being a master on anything is possible. Like, having raw talent for something, definitely, 100%, right? But any type of skill you have, you can always continue to develop it. There's always, it's just, and if you feel like you're at the limit of how much you've reached and how much you can develop whatever said thing is, then you should maybe reevaluate it completely on a new approach. Like, you have no idea, um, like, what the limits could of whatever you're doing could be. Like, and if you think that, I would 100% challenge you that you should rethink the whole idea completely. Obviously, keep the idea of whatever it is at its core, but rethink it completely. Because if you're at, I guess, a plateau, then that simply means that you just have to find another way to mix it up. Right? I learned that from, like, weightlifting, right? If you reach a plateau when you're lifting weights, you have to mix it up to inspire or like reignite your muscles are doing, because they can get stagnant. They learn almost, which is exactly what your body and your brain does. It learns. So basically the same thing. But anyways, I want to get back to how patience helps with myself, right? So patience with myself, and the way I learned that life always wants to throw patience in my way, and which is why I know that patience is one of the biggest things for myself to always be working on, because I'm always finding obstacles in my way where my patience is tested. For instance, like, like, my daughter wants to play, wants to do whatever, and I think I have a bunch of house chores to do. I have to do a bunch of stuff, right? However, let's think, she's not that old. She's pretty young. Her attention span doesn't actually last that long. Those house chores will still be there. And nonetheless, right, you can argue that doing that stuff will teach you a discipline, and thus teach her similar disciplines. However, maybe both of those are correct, and maybe that the right course of action then for me to do is to, instead of spending an hour doing house chores, maybe it means I need to spend 3 or 4 hours doing house chores with her and teaching her different things, and teaching her at a pace that she can understand, because that's also another test that's always thrown in my way, is wanting to rush through things, wanting to rush the information. I understand what it's going on. Why can't you? But that's not fair. That's not fair. It's not fair to expect that someone else will pick up or understand whatever I'm saying at the same pace that I do, or at the same pace that I did. It's not fair for me to think that, and it's wrong, I guess you could say, of me to try to do that. So, and like I said, that's once again life throwing that obstacle in my way to challenge me. Because that's what it's about. Life is about a challenge. Life is about learning and about challenging yourself. Like, if you're not doing that, then it's like, what are you doing, basically? Like, there's no reason why you shouldn't do that. Anyways, we're almost done with the video today. We can pick back up. Sometimes I don't know when I'm going to pick back up, but when we pick back up, we'll try and delve into another discipline, especially one that involves me. Anyways, hope you have a great motherfucking day. Peace out!